What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the Automotive Emporium podcast and radio show on the Oracle Talk Radio Network. You can find us everywhere, every podcast app that you have. We're there.
Wherever.
I am one of your hosts, Ian. I'm here with Tyler.
What's going on?
Let me get this out of the way.
This will be fun. I always like talking about stuff about cars.
All right. We're ready to do this. Here we go. The Automotive Emporium podcast. What are we talking about? We're talking about cars. Why is it doing this?
I feel like you're not prepared.
I was prepared.
But I like
it happen. Well, there we are.
It's always a problem when you start it.
Well, that's what we do. So we're talking about all things automotive. Sales, service, pretty much anything. We'll get into some performance talk. Parts, performance parts talk, pretty much everything. I've been a master mechanic for a long time, 25 years or so. Tyler has a lot of dealership experience, and that's why we're doing this. We
have too many years. We need to leave the place.
We want to give you the secrets that no one tells you about. That's what we're doing. That's the idea. And we're on the Oracle Talk Radio Network. Check us out on the app. You can find us. That's the best way to do it. You can listen to all the content that they have there. We also have another podcast, The Nerd Informer, where we talk about aliens and UFOs and conspiracies and all that stuff. You can find us there too. We do that Wednesday nights from 7 to 8. And we'll be doing this Sunday nights from 7 to 8. And yeah, so that's what we're going to be doing.
Can't be.
Today, I want to do something. I'm going to tell you some secrets. Let's talk about some dealership versus the aftermarket world.
It's crazy. Tyler and Ian just lost their jobs yesterday.
That could happen. But I don't care.
I know, right? I wouldn't either.
So the biggest part when you're talking about comparing a dealership to an aftermarket, there's a few things that the general thought is your labor cost, your parts cost, downtime. Do you get a rental? Do you get a loaner? You know, that type of stuff. So we'll start with the dealership. I work at a dealership. Tyler works at a dealership, the same dealership. And the biggest thing that people talk about is, well, if you go to the aftermarket shops, it'll be cheaper. And sometimes that's true. But there's a lot of there's a lot of problems that you run into with that. Yeah. Your labor, what's going to be cheaper most likely is going to be your labor cost, typically. And parts sometimes, when you go to a big tire store, we'll just go that route. What they do, and I worked for one for a long time. I worked for a couple of them for many years before I joined the dealership world. And the biggest thing that I find is that the parts prices are not what you think they are. Because I know when I worked for a very popular muffler store years ago, we used to buy a part and we'd mark it up 2.5 or 3 times whatever we paid for it. So sometimes when you go to a dealership and you compare that cost, you're not really saving that much. Sometimes it's even more. Yeah, because everybody has this misconception that a dealership is so much more money, and back in the day it used to be. Mm-hmm. Back in the day it used to be a big difference. But now, I mean, hell, we're doing brake jobs for what, $249, just like anywhere else. You know what I mean? Like it's super competitive now because and vehicles are getting more and more difficult to work on.
Oh, yeah. So it's consult or a computer on some just to unlock the brakes to even do it.
Yeah, just to do the brakes.
Which can take 30 minutes, which people don't even realize.
Yeah. Well, that's just it. And then you talk about, that comes into like the downtime of it. You take it to an independent shop or a mom and pop shop and they don't have the proper tools and they gotta do it. They do it however they have to do it. However they have to do it to get it done. And, sometimes it works out. But, I see a lot where, they'll do a brake job somewhere and bring me the car and we got to replace parts that we wouldn't have needed to replace if you would have just brought it to the dealership to begin with. So there are times, I think, when and the aftermarket shop is worth doing. Tires, or if you need tires and alignment and stuff like that, big tire shops are fine.
Yeah.
They give tires away. You know what I mean? Like, they don't make any money on the tires. They make money on the, oh, you need brakes, you need shocks, you need suspension parts, you need alignments, you need, and so dealerships never really push tires, and that's why, because there's no money in them. You know what I mean? People think, there's exorbitant prices of tires, and while the tires are expensive, there ain't no markup,
Yep. The one thing I came across with the mom and pop shop before too, and you got to worry about is that they said they replaced like a front strut, a left axle. They replaced, and they did the alignment. And I think I remember telling you this. I'm like, dude, this is a couple months ago. I actually had the guy come back to the shop. I'm like, hey, look at this. I was like, your strut is so bent. I'm like, I put it on the ground. I mean, that thing is, it's bent. You can see. And the guy's like, that's weird. He's like, well, I just had all of this replaced from this one shop down the road. So I'm like, that's weird. I'm like, none of it's replaced. I can tell you that. It looks original. And so the guy just got jiffed out of it, I think. He didn't even know what he had. Or he didn't even look to see if anything was replaced. And I had to replace all of those parts again. All of them. And he had to pay for it, which was a shitty part. But
then you got to go back to the people that did it, and you got to argue, have that fight with them. And listen, there's some good mom and pop shops out there. There's some good,
there is.
Like
yeah.
You bad people, and there's bad people in every shop, I don't care how you do it, whether it's dealership, aftermarket, there's bad technicians, bad service writers, bad service managers.
They weed their way in any way they can, and they work themselves
sure
out.
And they typically, they're there for a little while and they move on. I mean, that's typically how it goes. But you the good thing about going to a car dealership is you have trained technicians on whatever line it is. I happen to be a master Nissan tech, and Tyler's Nissan tech also. And we, obviously we work on Nissans all day. And occasionally we work on, whatever.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot of things on the Nissans that we don't do all the time. Yeah. So, and a lot of people will take their car to an AutoZone or a Napa and get it scanned for a code. And, they'll come to us and they'll buy the part from them, say a mass airflow sensor is a great example.
Oh yeah.
It's a simple code, simple diagnosis for the most part. You go, you buy the part, and they put it on for you. And it takes a few minutes to unscrew a couple bolts and put your mass airflow sensor in. But they don't tell you, and what they don't know is that you're on your way home and the light comes back on, and then you got your code back, and you go back to them and they're like, well, now you got to go to the dealer. Well, now you've already spent the money on the part. You already
sell it to them.
Yeah, and and it's an electrical part, so they tell you, electrical parts you don't get your money back on. Once you buy it, that's yours.
Yeah, and it's installed. Yeah.
So you got to be really careful about stuff like that, because when you bring it to me, I'm going to tell you that there's a update for your ECM, and maybe you had a bad throttle body, but both of those things will cause that 101 light that comes on that they tell you need the mass airflow sensor for.
They don't see that we do that, and they idle or relearn. They don't see certain things that that they don't know at AutoZone, but they keep selling it to those people.
Well, and that's just it, and O2 sensors are the same way. Those are relatively easy things for some people. If you're halfway mechanical, you can put an airflow O2 sensor in. It's not crazy, as long as I don't bury it under something. It's pretty easy to get to. But there's a lot of our vehicles and many other vehicles that have ECM updates, and an ECM update is simply you're putting new data in your computer because the manufacturer has found out, okay, well, it doesn't work with these specs. We're going to put these specs in it, and they change it, and I update your computer and the code goes away. You didn't even need a part. All you needed was that update. And it doesn't matter how many times you change that part, you're still going to need that update, and that light's still going to come on.
Exactly.
So that's one of the great examples of it's not that good of an idea to go to an aftermarket shop for stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because
or AutoZone.
We see it every day, and that's that's
all the time, and then we get yelled at.
Yeah,
so it's like they think we're lying. It's like we're not.
Right. Well, that's the problem. That's the problem, is that they think you're lying to them, and then they're combative with you, and no, AutoZone said I need this. Well, that's, I'm telling you don't, and this is why.
Yeah.
And then and labor cost. Okay, well, you look at labor cost, and labor cost is obviously the amount of time it takes someone to do a job. So if you need a head gasket job done, for example, and it's pays 10 hours, 12 hours, whatever it is, if you take your car to an aftermarket shop or a mom and pop shop, and you have somebody that's new or kind of doesn't have a lot of experience, it might take them 2 or 3 days to do that job.
Yeah.
Where if you now, depending on the cost of the labor, it still may be cheaper than going to a dealership, but it varies. There's a big variance there. But if you take it to, your manufacturer, they do that job all the time, and they could probably do that job in 6 or 8 hours and have you back on the road, in a much, it may save you rental car time if you have to rent a car. A lot of mom and pop places don't have loaners or rentals or anything like that. You go to a dealership, you can probably work in a rental car for your, if you're spending that kind of money, you can always negotiate it in.
I think every time they would do it, like, give this guy a rental car. But also the mom and pop shops might not know the torque specs. Then what if they're not looking at all data? What if they're not seeing a specific pattern you have to go in when you're putting those bolts back on? You know what I mean?
Well, and that, again, that goes with experience. Maybe these guys aren't experienced, and you don't know who's working on your car unless you know that person personally. And
well, for that specific job.
Listen, I've had bad techs come and work for me. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. Just because they work for a dealership doesn't mean that they're super great. So But again, you have the good and the bad and everything. But aftermarket, the mom and pop places, you never really know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
And at least when you're dealing with a dealership, you can have a reasonable expectation that you're going to have a trained technician doing it. Somebody that's done the job before. Listen, I did a million jobs the first time when I worked in an aftermarket shop. I mean, everything I did was, we're working on a Subaru one day and a Porsche the next. So it's great for learning, but I don't want somebody learning that. I don't want somebody doing a head gasket on my car that's learning that. You know what I mean?
I look at it as if whatever manufacturer I have, I'm taking it to them so they know exactly, like, just like us. We see problems, we just can read it like, yeah, I know what that is. Like, we don't even have to see the car yet, and we know. And that's what you get with experience, with especially with people at dealerships.
And that saves you a lot of diag costs sometimes too.
Yeah.
Diagnosis is an expensive endeavor sometimes.
Yeah.
And some problems that you come across that are relatively common on certain lines would take somebody that has no current knowledge of that vehicle. So it may take them a long time to figure out. They may get there, but they may charge you 3 or 4 hours in labor, which could be, $400, $500, $600.
Yeah.
And the labor rates of some of these aftermarket places aren't going down. They're actually trying to be more competitive with the dealerships. They see that the dealerships can charge $200 an hour. So now they're charging $160 or $170.
Exactly.
Still cheaper, but by how much? And,
it's a lot of the times they'll win the job too. You know what I mean?
There's
so many people that go there too. And it's not all of them are like, don't know what they're doing. Cause you get a lot of the guys that go there too are from a manufacturer or like from a dealership. They're really like,
a lot of them.
So when they go there, at least when they go there when they have those cars, they know exactly what it is. But you're not going to get that. Like some of them only have 2 people working. So they have to rely on 2 people, maybe 3 people to understand all those manufacturers.
Yeah, you just have to be careful where you take your vehicle and understand there's a value to going to a dealership, and there's a time and place for the aftermarket. If you're looking for something performance, or you're looking for something, you're trying to soup up your car or whatever, certainly go aftermarket, because most dealerships won't even do it. For the most part, like they don't even touch them. For one, warranty purposes, if the car's under warranty, they certainly won't do it. And for 2, it's not something that they do every day. even though they work on that car, and they, it's a time killer. They kill a bunch of time doing it. They waste a bunch of time doing it, and it's very hard to get paid what you're worth to do something like that unless you do it every day.
Yeah.
It's like, it would be like me going to be a plumber. Like, it would be very difficult for you to get your money worth out of me being a plumber at your house. It's just, yeah, I can do it. I'll get it done.
That takes 30 minutes. You were there 9 hours.
Yeah, but that's just it.
Yeah.
And I'll get it done. I can do, not totally retarded, but it doesn't make any sense. It's not going to save you any money by having me do it over someone that, really understands what they're doing. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. They just think, a mechanic's a mechanic, and that's so far not, that's so far out of reality.
They don't realize, like, let's just say a Ford comes in. Yeah, we can only go so far with that. We can't reprogram. We can't do certain things. It's like, oh, I didn't know that was the step you had to take before that. It's like, we'd never learned that. And it's funny because people expect it.
They say a car, a lot of people say, well, a car is a car. Well,
yeah. Not anymore.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's just not.
The computers are so different, man.
Yeah, they're so different now. It's not like when you had your 69 Camaro in a shop. You could work on a Camaro. You could work on a Mustang. It didn't matter.
Power ground.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. They were all the same. They all had an intake. They all had a carburetor. You need fuel. You need a distributor. Back in the day when you had points and that kind of stuff, like, you just knew how to do that stuff, and that was what you did, and you could fix any car.
Yeah.
Now,
and let's just say,
totally
like,
different
like our cars, like how we have to open up the CAN gateway. Like, we couldn't do that to any other manufacturer. I don't think with an aftermarket consult or scanner. You know what I mean? We couldn't do that, could we?
I mean, they do have some diagnostic equipment that will let you go a little bit deeper, but you're talking a shop would have to spend probably
$40K.
Yeah, I mean, $30,000 or $40,000 for a scanner, and you're talking monthly subscriptions and all kinds of stuff that a lot of shops just don't keep up with. It's just too expensive for what they're doing, and many times they use it.
It's crazy how expensive it can get. You know what I mean? Just to understand and to fix someone's problem, you have to pay that much money. It's insane. That's big money.
Well, these tool companies, man, they got it. Well, what people don't understand also is that these manufacturers build these cars so that nobody else can work on them.
Yep.
They can, but they make it super difficult, and they make it almost not worth it. And that's what, when I see a car come in, a Chrysler come in with a brand new Chrysler or something that maybe just out of warranty, it's well worth your time to take that car to the manufacturer. It doesn't make any sense for you to bring your car to me as a Nissan dealership. It just doesn't make any sense. I don't know why people they kind of have that, well, I bought it. Maybe they buy a used car. Well, I bought it here, and now, I want to have it serviced here. Well, that's, it's one of those things. Trust me. Take it to where you bought it. Take it to the manufacturer that built it. You'll be very, very happy that you did.
Most of the time, they have a warranty that can transfer to the dealer that they have the car with. Like,
that's another thing.
Manufacturer, I should say. Like,
if you buy these cars and you buy an aftermarket warranty, they'll pay you to take it to your deal. They'll pay the dealership.
Yeah.
But you'll have some sales guys that will bullshit you and say, no, you got to have your car serviced here. And they're lying to you. That's absolutely not true. They're 100% lying to you because they want you to service your car there.
Yeah, exactly.
I want you to go get the best service
you can,
the cheapest, the fastest. And you know what I mean? Like, that's what my goal is. I want the car. I want you to, as a consumer, if I tell you, listen, you're much better off going to the manufacturer of your vehicle. I feel like I'm doing you a service. I feel like I'm
being honest.
I'm not wasting your time, and I think that you're going to have a better experience dealing with the people that built that car, designed that car, and understand how that car works.
Yeah.
Not to say that I can't fix your problem. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
You know, unless it's something, you know, a brake job or something like that. You know, that's a different story. But again, when when
Like
you get into
suspension or like, yeah, if it gets into the computer side of it or,
yeah,
you know, it's not worth it for both of our parts. It's not worth it for us and it's not worth it for the customer on that one.
yeah, it makes them, if I'm taking my car, I always look at it through the customer's eyes. If I take my car somewhere,
Yeah.
I want to be told the truth about whatever it is, good, bad,
Mhm.
or indifferent, and I want to be in and out as fast as possible. I don't want to waste a bunch of time. Just fix it and let's move on with our day. Listen, nobody wants to go to a dealership and spend money. Like
Yeah.
it's not unless you're buying a car and that's all exciting. But
Yep.
if you're when your car breaks, there's nothing exciting about going to a dealership and having to spend money on it. So you try to make it the best experience that you can for people, and I think in the end that they'll appreciate it much more than if you spend 2 days trying to fix it and then you call them and go, listen, we need a special tool that we don't have. Now we have to
Yep.
send it to the dealer. Now
Exactly.
now you're 2 days without a car already, and now you got to wait for the
Frustrated.
dealership to fix it.
Yeah.
You're frustrated. We're frustrated. We can't really, in good conscience, charge you a bunch of money for it because
Yeah.
we haven't done anything.
Exactly. It's just a lose-lose on that one. I wish people would understand that a lot more, but no one will. It seems
But
like
I think a lot of that comes from the salespeople. Oh yeah,
Mhm.
you got to use your warranty here. You got it. It's not true. So
Yeah.
it's not true. Trust me, it's not true.
Well, that and well, I got to say Tesla did a good job by you can only have your car serviced there. You cannot go anywhere else unless you need a tire. That's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You can't. You'll never see a Tesla unless it just needs tires. That's it.
yeah. Well, that's I think everybody's trying to go that way.
Yeah.
You
They have
know,
locked it down so good where you can't take it somewhere else without someone fucking something up seriously with that car. So it's kind
yeah.
of cool to see that. And I wish all the manufacturers would do that, but
They're getting there slowly.
slowly. Yeah.
They're starting to do that more and more,
Yeah.
but they're
I like
making it.
that.
They're making it impossible to be able to
I think
work with these.
eventually if they do come to that and it does go to another dealership, they're just gonna have like a key like that you get from like any dealer, and you can get like a 5-digit key that you can type in and access something. They'll probably charge big money for it.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I can get a hold of data for other makes and models,
Yeah.
but it costs you money, and
Yeah.
a lot of independent shops aren't going to pay that money because it's big money sometimes.
Yeah.
You're talking thousands of dollars a year to update some of these scanners, and the monthly subscription. That's all separate from buying the $20,000 or $30,000 scanner that you need.
Exactly. That's a lot
So,
too.
so a lot of places just go,
Especially for
yeah,
a mom
no,
and pop.
yeah, like I worked for some successful mom and pop stores that had all the equipment that you could possibly need, and sometimes it helps. Sometimes it makes it a little bit easier, but there's still things when it comes to programming and stuff. Like there's some things that they just can't do.
Yeah.
They can change parts. Yeah, they can change the parts and probably send it to the dealer to get it programmed. I get it all the time.
Yep.
People will buy a transmission, put a transmission in a shop, and bring it to us to program it to set it up for them.
Yeah.
Which is all fine and dandy, but now you got to tow it over. Now you got to wait a
Or
day.
they'll drive it 2,500 miles and ask us to program
Or
it.
yeah.
I love that one.
Well, you see that too. Yeah.
Yep. Oh man, they've done
Because
it multiple times.
even these tranny shops, they don't have the tools to program some of the trans that they put in.
Yeah.
I see we have tranny shops local that send us transmissions all day long that need to be programmed because they put it in. Yeah, they can do the nuts and bolts of it, but to program it, it's a whole nother thing. Now, hopefully, and hopefully you have a day to wait for now you got to have the training put in. Now you got to send it to me. Now it might sit there for a day before I can get to it. There's a lot of things to think about when you're.
Yeah, and if they don't have the data disk, then we have to go contact, the manufacturer, and then we have to go digging for it. It's not that hard, but it's just another inconvenience.
Yeah, it's just time. How much time? How much time
and
do you want to put
that's
into
if they set up the transmission right and put everything back correctly.
Right.
So you know what I mean?
Well, we see a lot of that too, but that's
I've seen it before where they just leave the dowel pins out, and then uh, flywheel fucking snaps.
oh yeah, just
I've seen that like
it
3
just
times.
shreds. Yeah, they just shred. Even if you leave one of them out,
Or the flex
you
blade,
know,
people call it.
yeah, you leave you leave the one pin out, and
Yeah.
maybe they don't know. Maybe they don't know to look for it. Maybe they don't know where it is exactly. There's a lot of little things that an everyday person wouldn't understand about taking your car to having it serviced and stuff. So my recommendation is always go to the dealership, and
Yeah.
maybe once in a while, and listen, if you average it out over 10 trips to the dealership versus 10 trips to an aftermarket shop, maybe it all equals out in the end. I don't know, but the aftermarket places are starting to charge more and more labor. Just like dealerships. Labor right now is ridiculous. I mean, it's $200 an hour to get your car serviced somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's
That's
not that
pretty
much
close.
less.
It's for mom and pops.
Yeah.
Oh, I could see it now.
You got these big tire stores. They're all 160, 175, which adds up if you're doing a 10 or 15 hour job.
Yeah.
But and then that's if you're going to go and have your struts and suspension replaced, okay, that makes all kinds of sense.
Yeah.
As long as you're not doing something that takes any kind of technology, that's what it's going to cost you.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be nice to work in a mom and pop shop just to learn everything. But I mean, at the same time, you wouldn't learn the ins and outs of the computers, maybe. But
I tell you what, man, I mean, that's a good point, because for years I knew about almost every car that it came in.
and that's
like,
yeah.
And you learn so much doing. I listen. I recommend everybody do it for a while, because you learn so much about different lines and stuff. But when it as you get better and you become a master and you get certified and stuff like that, a dealership's always going to be the place to be.
Yeah,
you're always going to have growth potential. You're always going to have a job. Your mom, your dealerships, it can happen, but most of them don't just shut down.
No,
I've seen a lot of mom and pop shops come and go. Even the big tire chain stores. There's 3 or 4 of them around here that are empty. I mean, they closed down. And
what was one of them? Pep Boys or Pep Boys?
Pep Boys, I think, still there.
Are they still here? The one in Cape
Midases are gone. Yeah,
Midas. Yeah, Midas. I remember Midas. Yeah,
I think there's one Midas left down south.
Yeah,
but I started out there, man. But it was different because you did a lot of exhaust work. Yeah. Now all of the new cars come with stainless exhaust, so they don't go bad.
A lot of welding.
Yeah, it doesn't. Stainless exhaust doesn't rot out. It doesn't go bad. It just it's unless you get an accident and bend it or whatever. That's the only way you're gonna
change the game for them. They've lost money and they've closed.
Yeah. I mean, we used to do so much exhaust work. It was insane. Back in the cars from like the late 90s and all through the 90s, they were all of them were rotted. I don't care where you lived, your exhaust rotted out, or
it's just a weak
got leaks
metal
and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, they just use like that galvanized pipe.
Yeah.
But now everything's stainless, and stainless just doesn't have those problems unless you damage it somehow.
Yeah, exactly.
Or unless you're getting like custom exhaust, built for something that's crazy. But it's hard to find anybody that even does that anymore, because they don't do it. You can almost buy everything. You can almost go on Summit or whoever. Yeah, there's almost a kit for everything, unless you're building something that's super crazy.
Mm-hmm. Which is a shop that just, I mean, they probably just do that on the side. You know what I mean? Or they do.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of them. You're right.
No, you don't. There's not a lot. A lot of them you'll see at transmission shops will do exhaust work.
Mm-hmm.
Like Lee County Transmissions, like they do exhaust and exhaust, or exhaust and transmissions.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you take the training down, you have exhaust problems, and you got to be able to fix the exhaust. So that's how that kind of came about. Mm-hmm. was do that. But it's, I don't know. There's a lot of little things, and the rental car and loaner aspect is a big deal when you're talking about a dealership. just having a way to get around after a couple days or whatever.
And that's if they have a loaner for you, or if there's one available. Like,
yeah, I
you
mean,
know what I
there's
mean? What if
times
they're
where
all gone?
there's times where you don't. And you gotta rent a car, but the dealerships have really good relationships with car rental companies, so they can get you a car. You know what I mean? Just say, yeah, I'm gonna.
It just sucks if it's 5 o'clock at night and they're closed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Like,
mean, there's always extenuating circumstances for the most part, but you're always gonna be able to have an answer with a dealership. It gets a little more sketchy when you start trying to go to a tire store or something like that, especially if you don't have any choice. Like your car is just broken. If your car is just broken, it's broken. It ain't going. It can't. You can't.
This one
Look
guy
at home.
that came in the other day, and you know about it. I talked about this. The guy came in previously for a electric powered steering rack, and declined the work. Gets it towed in for another diag for the exact same problem, which it was, and the car doesn't start. And the guy was wondering. One of our advisors came up. He's like, "So the car's he can't drive it away? Like, you didn't know this?" You know what I mean? I put it in my notes pretty clear.
They didn't drive it in; they towed it. So you can't.
It was hilarious.
But
like,
that's
he's
just another.
stuck.
That's
The
just
guy
another.
was stuck without one. And the thing is, I even was nice. I'm like, you know what? I mean, typically to drop like the subframe and to do that, like we charge right around $4, and I include that with an alignment. And
Right.
being generous, I'm like, you know what? Tell the guy I'll do it for 2 hours, just because I know how it is, and I know I'm quick at them. So I'm like, you know what? Just do it for 2, and let's see what happens. Nope, guy still declined it. I'm like, man, he shouldn't have declined it because he'll never get that chance again. No one.
Well, that's another.
No one.
That's another thing too. If that's actually a really good point, because if you have somebody that's done a bunch of these repairs and it's a 4 or 5 hour repair and you just don't have the money,
Yeah,
we're more likely to say, okay, well, you can do it for 3 or 4 hours. You know what I mean? Like you're more likely to have them shave some of that time off. And even from a dealership standpoint, listen, when you go to a dealership, ask them for 10% off. They'll do it. I'm telling you. You know what I mean?
Will.
Like they'll do it. Get a discount. It's fine. They don't care. They'll do it.
Yeah.
But that's just one of those little things.
And that's where I was trying to show the customer, like, hey, dude, the tech cares about you. Let's get this done, and you're gonna save a lot of money. Nope, they wouldn't do it.
Yeah, when you're at $200 an hour, you knock 2 hours, that's $400, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
exactly. And I'm like, and the thing is, the guy doesn't understand. I'm like, you better tell the customer. I'm like, if I'm not here and someone else diags that, he's not getting the 2 hours for that. So
yeah, because it's very much up to a lot of times it's up to the technician.
Yeah,
because we have a lot of latitude in what we can do, and that's it helps because
we're pretty much our own contractor in our own bay. So it's like whatever I say is not what going to be the next guy's going to say. So it's like we all give our own quotes. We all do what we need to do, and try to help people. Sometimes it just doesn't work out.
Yeah, you try to stay close to book time, but there's always extenuating circumstances. If a car comes from Michigan, you can't do it for book time, man. It's just you're gonna cut bolts out. You're gonna have broken stuff. Like it's
need
just
an open
rust
flame.
The rust is just gonna be bad. Like you can't always do it for book time, but maybe there's other ways we can save you. But we've done enough of them to where you go to somewhere else, an independent shop or something that's never done one. It could get real messy because if they damage more stuff,
Oh yeah.
Like when you're dealing with some of that stuff, man, experience matters.
It definitely does.
You don't want some idiot with a torch near your car.
And the thing is, like, we're all of us will be like, you know what, this should probably go to the dealership, like, just because we don't understand this problem, and like half the time we'll get it, like you're figuring it out. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, hey, we're trying to help you out so you don't get a bad survey or something, but.
Yeah, well, that's another thing with the dealerships too, man. The survey system is just dumb. It makes it.
It shouldn't even exist. Sorry.
It makes it so hard to take care of people, and the idea is to make it to where you have to take care of people, but you gotta it's got to be used correctly. You got to have the right people. Everybody's got to kind of do their job. Everybody needs to be trained, and that doesn't happen everywhere. You don't always get that. So
I think that's a whole nother mess in itself that should have.
Oh, for sure.
I mean,
for sure.
I just want to know, do those surveys really matter? You know what I mean? Because if someone's going to want something, they're going to go get it regardless. You know what I mean?
Well, you get surveys for everything now. I mean, you go to Best Buy and they send you a survey because you bought a video game or something. Like,
I'm one of those that I will give, like, generally one of the best. I mean, I think a lot of people do it too. We all give, like, how was your service? 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10. I don't typically have a bad survey. And the thing is, even if I did, I know from our end, man, if I put something wrong, like, or bad, someone's going to get in a lot of trouble. So, like, I try to help people out the best I can. If I do.
Well, I think about that too when I go to like a restaurant or something, you know, and they give you I'll give you a free cheeseburger next time if you do this survey. I'm like, what? Yeah. We're talking of, you know, you go through drive-through. I get it all the time. It all the time. Well, here's a free Whopper or something if you fill out the survey. Like, listen, dude, I'm not filling out your survey. For one, I don't want to do it. And for two, we're talking about a hamburger. If it's not that good, I'll throw it in the garbage. You know what I mean? Like, it's not,
and I'm not one to complain. Like,
okay,
you know what I mean? Like, if I'm out to dinner and my food sucks, I'm like, I'm just never going to order from there again, or I'm not going to get that item, or maybe it was just a bad time, like bad. Yeah. But I'm just not one to complain about things like that.
Yeah, but there are people out there that love to complain. Like, that's
and it just sucks because like for instance, like a car manufacturers, you put one thing wrong that they did, it bombs that survey pretty much.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like, what the hell is that? It's like,
and a lot of people get paid off of those surveys.
Yeah, it's like
in the sense that, you know, some of their bonuses are tied into it. Like if you're a service advisor, you know, some of your bonuses are tied into that stuff. Yeah. You know, and
I've heard advisors say if they don't get that bonus, that they can't make rent. It's like, oh, that's
well, and the worst part about it is that if I mess something up, it affects their survey.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, they don't even have to do anything wrong. They can be a perfect advisor. Everything could be perfect on their end. But if somebody else screws up, you know, it could be a problem.
Yep.
You know, and so, I mean, the car dealerships are the only surveys that I really do kind of fill out. And that's just because I know what they mean. I can't imagine somebody at Best Buy getting in trouble because they had a bad survey. But I don't know. Maybe. You know what I'm saying? Like, who knows?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I always do the Best Buy surveys though, because they always say they hand out a $500 gift card. So I'm like, yep, totally doing this one. Hopefully I get it.
Well, yeah, sometimes you get
those are the ones
cool
that I do.
Yeah. Or there's like, you know, you might win a car or something. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll fill that shit out, but
I'm the same. Yeah.
The most part, I'm not filling out some fucking survey for a free cheeseburger.
Yeah. and the thing is, we know that their jobs don't depend on that survey. You know what I mean?
And if your burger sucks, I'm not going to go get the free one anyway. So what the fuck's the point?
McDonald's, it was well done, not medium rare. Like, you know what I mean? There's probably someone that's like that. So it's like it's hilarious.
I think about that all the time when I go to like a drive-thru or something. I know there's people in that come to the drive-thru that just aren't that smart. And they're like, I'll have my cheeseburger medium well. I'm like, bro, it's a fucking McDonald's cheeseburger, bro. It was frozen 8 minutes ago. You're not gonna.
That's exactly. It's in hot dog water right now. All right, we don't need.
They're boiling it in water. I promise you, it doesn't. You're not getting it anyway. But the way it is,
the only ones that you could get away with doing that is like Wendy's or Burger King. You know what I mean? Because they fired
Burger King. Yeah, but Burger King, I think, are frozen patties, and they just throw them on a thing. Yeah. I guess they could cook them on. And Wendy's is fresh. Wendy's meat's fresh.
I think they're the only ones that would do. Like, oh yeah, you want it medium well? Like,
but you know their meat is so thin. I worked at Wendy's for years. I fucking loved Wendy's. It was my best job ever. If I didn't need money, I'd still be working there. What the fuck? Oh, we had such a good time.
Oh yeah,
it was so great. I would tell you stories, but you might never go back to Wendy's.
Yeah.
We never did anything bad to the food. We would just go and like, I don't know, we'd go outside and like smoke weed for a whole lunch break and just come back fucking obliterated.
Yeah.
Not knowing what's happening. That's what when you get the wrong order at Wendy's, that's what happened, bro.
Corporate keeps getting calls. Who's this guy Ian? It's like it's always
somebody is either high or they went out and
Always,
did
dude.
shrooms on lunch. Like
Yeah.
that was our thing. We had cow pastures behind us. We would literally go out in the fields and get mushrooms, like the purple ringers, and eat them at lunch, and then go back to work and work for the next 4 hours just tripping balls. I couldn't find a bun if I had to.
That'd be hilarious to see. Oh man. But times have changed. But you know what? That probably hasn't changed for the fast food place. They probably all still do that.
No, because if you're working at a fast food place, you're either young, teenager or something like that is one of your first jobs, or you're like working on fast food. I don't know why you would do it when I was an older.
I never got the chance to. I did work at fast food once. One of my first jobs was Chick-fil-A. That was.
At least you had Sundays off.
Yeah. But that was the only fast food I did, and I gotta say, their shit is fresh, man. It doesn't. I don't care what anyone says and how we did it. Like, it's fresh. Everything is fresh on that. It's nice.
That food is actually really good. I mean,
I haven't had it in so long, but they never let down, dude. Like, they're always consistent.
It's very consistent between every store, everyone you go to.
Yeah,
it's
because they have a pressure cooker, like how you do have like a pressure cooker pot. They have it for their chicken that's on a timer for the exact time, and then we have to switch out the oil at a certain time, and then so everything's done exactly the same every time. Every time. You'll never have a like a frozen chicken sandwich.
Well, that's the way Wendy's.
They never are frozen. They're all. We actually had to split the chicken breast and all that. But
oh really?
Oh yeah, you had to do that. You had to dunk them in milk. You had to do everything in the.
Oh really? You actually bread them and everything there?
Everything. Yeah.
Really?
Yep. Everything's done as I get it fresh from the chicken breast, and then I do it. The whole process to make it. It's not they're not breaded already. You have to physically do it in the breading and dunk them in egg yolk and then dunk them again. And
no shit.
Yep. That's why I like Chick-fil-A.
I know Wendy's meat is never frozen. It's always perfect. It's refrigerated, but it's always, you kept it in the refrigerator. You never froze it.
Yeah.
And even when it came, it was thawed out. Like it was never, at no time was it ever frozen.
The times working those jobs were so easy. I know.
Oh, it was so good.
Oh yeah. And we used to get all the fast food tattoos, they were called. Just massive blisters from the oil. Like,
massive burn from grease splashing up in your face and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. That was great.
Good times. Good times, dude.
If I didn't need money, I'd still be working there.
Oh yeah. I'm telling you, great time. I mean, good environment. I mean, if you've been there a long time, you know your shit. You know what to do. How to take care of things. We don't have
to. I used to open. I'd have to be there at like 6 a.m. and I could never get up on time. I could never get up on time. My boss called me 3 times a week. Where you at, bro? I'm like, I'm on my way. I was always late.
I'm the complete opposite.
I was the opener, so I had to rush through everything before they didn't serve breakfast at the time, so we didn't open till like 9 out of 10, I think, or 10:30. Yeah. So I had like 3 hours to clean the parking lot, put all the food away, start all the fryers, you got to set up all the condiments and everything. I had that down to like an hour and a half for everything. So he knew like I could be late and still make it. Still be all right.
It's like I should be pissed at you, but I can't be. You know what I mean?
Trust me, I'm efficient. I got this.
Yeah. That's how Chick-fil-A's the same, man. I was the morning shift always. It's such a good job too. You had nothing to complain about except you don't make any money. You know what I mean?
No, that's the problem.
Yeah.
I don't know. They want $15 an hour now to fucking make fries. So who knows?
I think it's even more.
Probably.
Probably a Chick-fil-A.
So you're probably right.
I was driving a while back. I drove up to like McDonald's, and I don't get McDonald's ever really, but there's a sign: managers start at 100K. I'm like, motherfucker. If I would have just stayed there, I would have had.
What do you have to do to be a manager there? Like it can't be rocket science, right?
No,
really. The hardest part of that job is managing people. I think like
that's exactly you're babysitting the whole time.
You're babysitting because most of the people are younger.
You're getting the new kids that are rebels that need money, and then they're just high and fucking drunk.
And your turnover rate is fucking outrageous. you probably go through 10 people a month. You know what I'm saying? Maybe more. Who knows? But yeah, your turnover rate's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
You're always hiring people, always having to. Well, most people quit, I think, but you never know. People just aren't going to show up for work. You know what I mean? Like, you always got to be prepared for that. It's probably stressful in that sense.
I would say so. Like, how's the manager's performance? Like, I wonder how they get rated and how are we going to fire him because of this? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, is it a bad survey? Yeah, really?
But you know what they did care about is your wait time in the drive-through. Like, they clock that shit. That's why they always say, "Hey, can you pull up to a parking spot or whatever?" Because there's a clock running above the door, above the window, and it'll actually say, 30 seconds. Like your time in a window should be less than like 30 seconds.
The one by us, they were having every single person in under a minute every time.
Yeah.
And they even said it like on a sign. It's under a minute.
Yeah. Yeah.
You were fucking in and out.
But
haven't been there in a long time.
Burger King and McDonald's and stuff, they'll be like, "Okay, pull up to parking spot number 2 and wait for the food." That's when something bad has happened. They either ran out of your food or something. You know what I mean? Like, that was the biggest thing, man. My manager at Wendy's would watch that clock like a hawk, bro. Because it averaged time. It wasn't like the real time at the window
until you hit next, until it would fucking reset.
Probably. Yeah, it just ran like a constant average, and every car it re-averaged. You know what I mean? And your average had to be like under, I don't even know what it was, 40 seconds or whatever the fuck it was. Something retarded. And like once you got to like 50 seconds, it was everybody's hair was on fire. It was like the end of the world. Yeah. Because it generated a report or something that the manager
and then sent out to the next guy.
Yeah.
Yell at him.
That was the big thing, was your time and how long it took you to do shit. Your drive-through time. You can go inside and stand there for 30 minutes and nobody give a shit, but you sit in that drive-thru line too long. Yeah. Yep. Man. You're the last one to get served.
Yeah, that's exactly it. We went on a rant for a while with fast food.
See, we were talking about cars, and there we are. All right, on that note, I think we're going to call it a day for this week, and we will try this again next week. Same time.
Oh, yeah. Let's see if we can get some funny stories of us working on cars.
Yeah.
I know it can generate
wherever you get your podcast and all that stuff. That's where you can find us.
All right.
Download the Oracle app. You can get all the past episodes of all the shows that they have. It's super cool. Our other shows on there.
Yeah, you would like it.
Yeah, there's a lot of good conspiracy stuff and UFO stuff and paranormal stuff. So if you're into that stuff, that's the place to be.
Oh, yeah.
Until next time, and we will see you then. Later.
See you guys.